It's my birthday. Hi guys, and welcome to another video. So I am off to have drinks with friends tonight. We're just gonna hang in the bar because I'm actually leaving for Paris quite early tomorrow. So there's no plan for like big partying. We're gonna do that when I come back. But we're gonna have fun for at least, a few hours, and my outfit is very leisurely but still birthday-like. I still want to be celebratory, but because we're going to be in the old town center, heels are sadly not an option, so I have to wear flats. But luckily I have my bling flats from SEZANE that really look awesome with this outfit. So now that you know how the whole outfit looks, let's dig into fashion news. Oh my god, we all know that luxury brands in the last year or so are mostly in decline. So all of the big brands from Chanel downwards, we read about how they sell less, how their revenue is less. I mean, for Chanel, we don't know the exact numbers because it is privately owned company, but you just walk into a boutique and you can see there's a lot less people in there than they used to be. And the main reason for that is, well, it's not just one reason. Let's break it down, shall we? The most important reason why this is happening is that their sales were actually abnormally high after the pandemic because people didn't go anywhere for like a year, even 2 years. So they had money to spend and they splurged on luxury items. So 2022 and 2023 were not usual years in luxury fashion because people who would not normally buy or not normally buy as much were actually buying like crazy because they had money to spend. And of course, in 2024, this slowed down. So that's one reason. The second reason is that with all the price hikes, especially in Chanel, even though other brands followed pretty quickly, but not as drastically as Chanel, they really pushed out the middle class buyer or the aspirational buyer. I still don't like that phrase, but it is what it is. It's kind of like the phrase we are used to. So I'm going to use it. I don't like it, but I'm going to use it. So the aspirational customer has been pushed out from many of the brands because what used to be 4,000 is now 10,000. And on average income, you can save up and buy a bag for like 4 or 5,000. But you cannot justify to yourself ever paying 10,000 for a bag if you are not in this really rich sector when you can just splurge, and 10,000 is the same as maybe 100 to normal people. So that's another reason why the sales slow down. And another thing is, of course, fashion. You are either in or you are out. And certain brands did not do very well with their marketing. And for that reason, a lot of them now suffer, mainly because of two markets. In fashion sector, United States and China are the biggest ones. So whenever those two slow down, they feel the impact. I mean, Europe is important as well, but United States and China is where the big bucks get turned around. And in the last year, both markets really slowed down for most of the brands, even the biggest one, LVMH. They predicted that in the second quarter, the fiscal second quarter, that the sales will rise for roughly 3%, but they only went up 1%. I mean, they went up, but 1%. So that's 30% of what they actually expected. So that's really off the mark. And officially, this is actually the slowest growth for LVMH since 2009. Of course, we don't count the pandemic years because in that era there was a dip everywhere, so that is kind of like excluded from this data. But it doesn't change the fact that this is the slowest growth recorded for LVMH in normal times since 2009. I got a lot of information from Fashion Network article. I'm going to link it below so you can read it in full. And also sales of fashion and leather goods, which is engine of the LVMH, rose 1%. And that's about half of what analysts had been expecting. Of course, projections are projections. They are not something that's, written in stone, that's for sure is going to happen. But you expect that the company will move within projections. There will be slight deviations, but not that much. And this is really off the mark. So most of us see these numbers and think, okay, something is really not right with luxury sector, with luxury fashion and fashion goods. This doesn't look right. But LVMH's CEO will disagree, because he said that this means that luxury sector is actually normalizing and not falling off a cliff, which the later it kind of looks to us that that's what is happening. And he kind of has a point, because a lot of us were buying more than usual after the pandemic years, or even during the pandemic. The numbers were not normal. The numbers were not what was expected for that year, for that quarters. And now it's actually normalizing again. So the growth will slow down, and that it kind of makes point. But there's one other thing which makes this statement a bit of a trying to save the sinking ship, because not all of the luxury brands are actually doing bad. I mean, we know Burberry lately announced that, they're in some kind of trouble, or at least, the beginning of the trouble. They have to change something to save the company. Gucci, we talked about this before, it's not really performing well. Dior is in trouble because of all the things that happened in Italy, and all the allegations that has been proven. Some of them has been proven in court. If you don't know what I'm talking about, go watch this video. I explain there in detail what happened in Italy with Dior and their contractors. And a lot of brands are in trouble. Even LVMH is not selling as much as it used to, but it's still doing okay. But now we have two clear winners. One is Prada. The second one is its little sister, Miu Miu. So listen to this, because Japan's yen is currently weaker. Chinese shoppers are actually flocking to Japan, buying luxury items like crazy, and a lot of them are Prada items. So Prada actually outperformed any other brand in Japan and in China combined in the last quarter. So in a statement a few days ago, Prada said that net revenue in the first half grew 17%. And Prada has been outperforming its high-end fashion rivals thanks to the success of its product among Generation Z consumers. And also Miu Miu has extraordinary growth rates, and retail sales jumped, listen to this, 95%. 95% in the second quarter. So Miu Miu is really hot right now. And whenever we try to kind of this, the social media aspect of it, it's clearly working, because Miu Miu and Prada actually invested a lot in the last months in social media marketing. I mean, you could not go onto Instagram and on YouTube without seeing, Prada and Miu Miu items being sent to bigger channels, to big influencers, for them to promote them. And because Gen Z is particularly susceptible to this kind of marketing, it figures that the sales jumps. I mean, if you think about it, the last time you were on Instagram, or the last time you watched any kind of fashion item new season video, what did you see? Which brands? I mean, I remember Gucci. I've seen quite a lot of Gucci videos. I've seen a lot of Prada. I've seen a lot of Miu Miu. And that's it. I don't remember seeing any other high luxury brand sending their items to influencers. And I guess they thought that that period is not as strong anymore, that it's not worth so much anymore to kind of, reach your customers through social media. But Prada and Miu Miu are proving them wrong, because this is practically the only thing they're doing differently than the other brands. They are really, really out there. I mean, especially on TikTok, they're everywhere. You cannot swipe a video without seeing Prada or Miu Miu, especially Miu Miu. And it works. Officially, it works. It also helped, for example, Prada had a campaign recently with Scarlett Johansson, and that campaign, that promotional video, actually got like more than 6 million YouTube views. On the other hand, Penelope Cruz and Brad Pitt did a film commercial for Chanel. It didn't have the same impact because we don't view Chanel in the same way as we do Miu Miu and Prada. And what worked for one side, it didn't work for other. If we go back to Japan's shopping, like Prada Japan's retail sales jumped 55% in the first half, helped of course by strong tourism flows because yen is currently not very strong. Asia Pacific territory, which includes that very important China market, actually grew about 12% in the same period. But again, for certain brands, not for everyone. Prada will actually open a huge new store in Hong Kong. Even though they haven't opened new boutiques for quite a long time now, they're actually really splurging out in Hong Kong right now, which means they see the trends, they see that they're really strong, Prada and Miu Miu, and you know they're mostly in the same boutique anyway. They know they're really strong in Asia Pacific regions, so I'm guessing this is not going to be the only store they're going to be opening, but you know, we'll see. Another interesting information that I found is that Hermes is actually doing all right as well. So Hermes actually did better than LVMH and Kering as well, both of the biggest fashion houses in the world. Hermes actually beat them both according to this data. Again, the whole article is linked below if you want to read it in full. And they're guessing because the wealthiest customers are not actually spending less than they used to. They're spending either the same or more, but they are not buying the same items that aspirational customers have been buying. So that's the difference in final numbers, because we don't reach for the same items. And with Hermes and other luxury brands, the wealthiest customers are actually more interested in clothing and ready to wear than they are in leather bags or leather goods, and the later is what most aspirational customers are actually buying. So there's again all in the numbers. We just have to know how to read this, and you can really understand what's happening in the luxury sector right now. Jewelry brands are in general not doing so bad. Cartier and Van Cleef and Arpels are both still very much in demand. Tiffany has slightly slowed down, but nothing alarming there as well. So jewelry for now is still doing okay. If they are not thriving, they're at least doing okay. What does this mean for the future? Well, short term, we should see some changes, if any, in 2025. There's not going to be any changes this year because it's you know, the projections show that the luxury sector is definitely slowing down. And if you believe one CEO, this is back to normal. If you look at other numbers, we'll see what's normal and what's new normal. But you know, whatever it's on the rise, if it's going to keep rising, or whatever it's in the fall, and if it's going to keep falling, all of that will be more evident next year. So we're going to be, you know, watching in 2025 where the trends are going and what's happening with, you know, the biggest luxury brands, especially two of the biggest houses, which are of course LVMH and Kering. LVMH is not exactly hitting the marks they predicted, but Louis Vuitton, which is of course their main brand, is doing okay. It's still, you know, seeing slightly rise in the sales, and you know, they have a lot of classic items that they will always be in demand. So Louis Vuitton per se is not exactly in trouble. And they also own Loewe, which is one of the hottest brands around right now. Loewe is really, really hot right now, as is Miu Miu. So those are the two brands that definitely see the most rise and talk about in, you know, social media platforms, along with Prada. Clearly, we do have some winners in the luxury sector: Prada, Miu Miu, and Hermes, and probably Loewe as well. So those are the brands that are still doing good and are actually performing better than expected. So, you know, the whole luxury shopping is definitely not dead. And, you know, the wealthiest people, the wealthiest customers of those brands are definitely not shopping less, at least not most of them. So I guess there are not that many changes there. It will be very interesting to follow what's going to happen with the brands who are on the rise now. Because for me, lately, I have been really into Versace, which I haven't bought a lot from in previous years. I think I have like maybe 2 pairs of sunglasses from before. But this year I bought like 3 bags and a lot of sunglasses. I have their belts. I mean, I bought quite a lot of items from Versace this last year and a half because what they have been doing just kind of really caught my eye and I really enjoyed it. I mean, numbers are not worrying for Versace, but it's not like brilliant either because nobody's really talking about that. So we're gonna see. But you know, just I predict that in the next few months we will see a lot of big channels on YouTube and a lot of big profiles on Instagram and TikTok. They're gonna be given freebies. I'm pretty sure they're gonna be sending some of the newest bags. I mean, remember Dior did that with Saddlebag when he came back for the second time. There was a time when you couldn't open any kind of social media without seeing Saddlebag, and it worked. It became an it bag. Everybody wanted it. And I'm not saying that Dior is going to do this now because I'm pretty sure Dior is going to lay low for the foreseeable future until they figure out how to kind of get out of this PR mess that happened for them. But other brands, I mean, I could see Gucci doing it. I could definitely see Gucci sending some of their new hot items to the biggest influencers. But we will see. All right, guys, thank you for watching. Tell me which is your favorite brand because I think for the moment I am definitely eyeing those Versace bags and actually have some shirts on my radar as well. So I can definitely say for now Versace is my favorite brand. At this moment, which one is yours? I would love to hear. So write and comment below. Have a lovely day and I will see you in the next video.